What is up, MMA fans? Glove Talk, episode 7. 7 of them.
Yes, sir.
This episode, we're talking about UFC 286, Kamaru Usman versus Edwards. And
hmm
actually, what would you rank the card on a 1 to 10? I think it was I think it could have been better. I'll give it like a 7.
I'd say yeah, 7. 7 is what I go for too. I
It had
think,
potential to be a 10, but it ended up being a 7.
definitely a 7. I think the prelims are good. The prelims are very good. Main card was kind of
Main card is where he kind of hit the plateau.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
So in the first fight, we had Juliana Miller coming off winning the Ultimate Fighter the same season that Usman's brother, won, but I haven't seen him fight yet. And then Veronica versus Dan Hardy's wife, Veronica Hardy.
hmm Yeah.
Um, it was a good fight. Juliana Miller was chasing too many submissions while she was on the ground, while Hardy was on top of her. She kept trying to go for arm bars and omoplatas and kimuras when she really should have been trying to kick off the hips and getting up.
hmm No, I agree. I think and Veronica Hardy, she's a high level Taekwondo fighter. Que vio Venezuela, man. Venezuela got an MMA fighter winning out here. I love it. What I loved about Veronica Hardy with her Taekwondo is she would fight in the pocket and get inside, and as soon as because Miller was bigger, so as soon as Miller would try to counter strike, boom, she'd get out of the way, out of range, get in, hit 1-2, out of range, and it was beautiful striking. Veronica Hardy looked very good on the ground as well, defending submissions, being top heavy as well. I think Dan Hardy coaching her, you can definitely see that in her game now. Yeah, she looked very good. And that's one thing. Veronica Hardy had a tough run, losing fights against bigger girls. But you can see the talent in there for sure. And I think for Juliana Miller, man, it's only her sixth fight. She's she's got a lot of room to grow, but there's a fighter in there too, man. It was just more of like the mental decisions in that fight.
Yeah. And then we had the second fight. We had Klein versus Jai Herbert. Jai Herbert coming off getting sent to the shadow realm by freaking Ilya Taporia.
Mm-hmm.
He had Ilya hurt, so that shows like he's a high level striker. But you know, um, Ilya's is a different breed. And then this fight ended up being a draw. What do you think about the draw decision?
I it's tough for me because I don't think the nut shot warranted a point deduction. I know he did it twice. It's just they weren't intentional. They weren't intentional. Um, and it was in a clinch situation. A clinch situation when you're kneeing up the middle, it's gonna happen. But with the point being taken away, yeah, it's a draw. I don't think he did enough to win with the point deduction. But if the point doesn't get taken away, Jai Herbert wins 2 out of 3 rounds for sure.
Yeah, I
I
think
mean, it was a good fight. They both looked good. They both had their moments. It was a really good fight. But yeah, the draw. Unfortunately.
after getting slept like that, he didn't really seem too timid on striking. His striking was still there, it's still sound. His distance management was good, so I think he just
Mm-hmm.
won that fight right back, ran it back. It was a good
Mm-hmm.
fight. Then you had Joanne Wood versus Liana Carolina. They were getting each other's face during the weigh-ins, but Joanne Wood getting the split decision win here. Um, I don't know. I think I missed this fight. Actually, no, I seen the end of this fight.
Yeah, it was. It was. I don't know how to score this fight. I can see why it's a split decision. It's just Carolina looks super wild at points, and then Joanne Wood just looked gassed at other points. It was a weird. I wouldn't say gas. Just it was a weird fight. It was good. They were hitting each other, but like nobody really took control the whole fight. They both had their moments. Joanne Wood, a veteran of the game. I mean, it's nice to see her get a win. I think for Luana Carolina, it kind of brings back the point of like she needs to find more discipline. She was just getting way too wild in her striking, way too wild in her distance as well. Just kind of just having her chin up, which is why she got knocked out by Molly McCann for the same reason, fighting with her chin up like that. So, I mean, it was a good fight. I'm not gonna lie, it was a good fight to watch. It could have gone either way. I wouldn't shed tears if there was a score for Carolina, to be honest. But
And then we had Jake Hadley getting performance of the night over Malcolm Gordon with that body shot KO. The shit was nasty.
I don't know if you heard the little tidbit before the fight where Michael Bisping has said that he had talked to Malcolm Gordon about missing weight, and Malcolm Gordon said that he had been peeing out parts of his liver during the weight cut. And so, yeah, so the theory that Michael Bisping offered was Jake Hadley hitting the liver shot had to do with also Malcolm Gordon's liver and kidney problems during his weight cut. Which, regardless, that was a nasty body shot.
Yeah,
That was perfectly timed. Jake Hadley also called out Muhammad Makayev after the fight. Hadley looks good, man, and Hadley pulled out Malcolm Gordon, who gave Malcolm Makayev a really good fight. So that kind of makes it interesting, man. But Jake Hadley looks really good for flyweight. Flyweight needs these kind of fighters coming up as well with how open that division is. So I love it. That was a great fight, great performance.
and then we had for the next fight we had an injury stopping the fight with
Mm,
Christian Leroy Duncan and Dusko. Dusko, I think he probably tore his ACL because it was a
mm,
non-contact injury. He just stepped down and his leg just gave out, so he probably tore his like ACL or something like that,
mm.
discus, one of those things.
It buckled pretty bad. I mean, it's unfortunate. I do think Duncan, for the moments that the fight was going, was winning the fight. I think like CLD's a big guy, man. He's a big
Yeah.
guy. He looks composed. Definitely want to see him back in the octagon soon, though. I think they could definitely build something out of him right there. But it's unfortunate for Todorovic to go down like that. He's looked very good his last few fights. It's part of the game, though, man. It's part of the game. A couple of knee injuries on this card. We'll see, but yeah, no, it's part of the game, man. And prayers up for Todorovic. Hope he comes back stronger. It's just tough. It's tough to see a fight end that way. Yeah.
And for this next fight, we're gonna make this shirt, man. USADA the judges, bro. This to me, like Santos won this fight. There's no way that Lerone Murphy should have got the. What do you get? The split decision. They were giving him 29-28.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Santos won this fight, bro. 30-27 in my book.
I agree. I think. Listen, Lerone Murphy had his best moments in the third round because Santos kind of gassed, but yet Santos took him down even after he was getting hit.
Yeah.
Like Gabriel Santos, that single leg takedown was his bread and butter the entire fight. Like Leron Murphy had no answer to the single leg drag, and so I don't understand how you could score this fight for Leron Murphy. I don't understand. Like it's
Santos,
just
Santos actually opened my eyes in this fight. Like I mean, it was his debut, his UFC debut, but I think he's about to be a tough guy in featherweight. You know, he's got a chin. He's not scared to stand up, and then he's also got the grappling as well. And he looks like he has some cardio as well. He didn't seem. I mean, he gassed out a little bit, but you know, once he started getting hit with a couple shots, he would turn up. You know, and he would wake back up. So, a
mm-hmm.
tough guy. I think he was going to be a guy to look out for in featherweight.
Yeah, I think for this fight, it was just home cooking. That's what it was. It's a British fighter. They're gonna give him the fight. It is what it is.
Seemed like they did a lot of that on this card, bro.
Yeah,
Then we
that's
got
true.
we got the flyweight prospect Muhammad Makayev not tapping to the knee bar, destroying his knee, and then finishing the guy. You know, still getting the rear naked choke. You know, I think that just ups his stock
Yeah,
to
I
see
agree.
how tough he is.
Yeah, that neck crank at the end was nasty, but the knee bar was nastier, man. To not tap to that, it's tough though because Michael Bisping did make a good point. And I agree. This could have career changing implications. Not tapping to that knee bar. Um, like I credit the toughness 100%, but you don't come back the same from that. So we'll see. He's 22. He's got time. Jafel Filio, man, was just trying to pull guard the entire time. Um, and for Makayev, credit to him, man. He won the grappling exchanges.
Dominant wrestling.
He had an injured shoulder, so he didn't really strike too much in this fight. But on the ground, he was a monster. Did what he had to do. That neck crack at the end was disgusting as well. A good win for him. It's just a matter of is he probably going to be out for a year now? We'll see.
Yeah, and I think give him that fight. Give him that Jake Hadley fight. Why not?
I agree.
He's back. And then you have Yanal Ashmos beating Sam Patterson, knocking him out. You know, catching the leg kick, hitting him with a right hook, and then hitting him with the leg hook. His height actually helped him hit that left hook while he was falling down. Like if he was as
Mm-hmm.
high as him, that probably would have missed. But just because he was shorter, throwing that left hook while he was going down really put him to sleep. That was probably one of the nastiest knockouts I've seen. Like the dude was still trying to fight afterwards, even when the
Yeah. Yeah, man was trying to grapple the ref. He was just trying to he was
he
trying
was
to
trying to
pull
grapple
guard on
Mark
the ref.
Guarded. He was trying to
Yeah,
grapple Mark Guarded, bro. Mark Guarded.
yeah, man. He was trying to grapple his coaches when he stood up. He was trying to clinch with them. Like, I mean, it's for Ashmus, man. I mean, he's
Israeli.
he's super short as well compared to Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson 6'3", 78-inch reach. And Osman was credit to him. He took his time waiting to get inside in the pocket in his range, and like he threw that right, caught the kick. To let go of the kick and hit him with that left hook, man. Bro, he was bouncing his head off the canvas as well afterwards. Nasty stuff. Osman was still undefeated. Derails the hype train of Sam Patterson. Dude, that was nasty. I want to see more Osmonds, man.
And I think this makes you appreciate someone like Turner a lot more in lightweight because it shows that just because you have height and reach advantage doesn't mean that you're going to be a top guy in here. And
Oh, 100%. Especially for how much they have to cut weight. I mean, which brings me to the question, like, Sam Patterson, how much weight do you, like, got to become, like, 25, 30 pounds for a fight, which that's the problem with being a bigger guy in a weight class is you sacrifice a lot of your body just to have length and reach and stuff. And so that's what happens though, man.
do you think Ashmos was getting he was getting booed? I know he's fighting like a local guy, but you think him at being Israeli got him some hate, got him some boos?
I think 100%. I mean, in England especially, it's just with the Middle Eastern population there, just all the tensions in that part of the world. It definitely got him some boos during that. I think definitely a lot of it was political, but like, I mean, it is what it is, man. That's unfortunate. That's just the world. That's how the world works, man. It's the same way if you you got Colombia versus like Venezuela or Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. Like there's always gonna be those cultural rivalries and stuff. But like, hey, to be able to go into that kind of territory, beat the local guy, take the booze, and do what you gotta do, that just makes you a tougher fighter, man. That's adversity. That's life.
Yeah. And then you got Chris Duncan looking like he had a compromised leg, during the fight, finishing off and getting the split decision win over Omar Morales, who's a tough kickboxer. So um,
Mm.
he wrestled him up this fight.
Yeah, I mean, I know he had a compromised leg, so he did what he had to do. But I think a lot of the fight, especially towards the end, he was just living on holding him against the cage, and I think Morales. I think Morales could have done more defending that because if he did, I think he definitely would have had a better case of winning this fight. Because Morales has moments. Morales was cracking him at times. It was a good fight. They were going back and forth. I think the whole living on the cage kind of just killed the fight for me by the end. Where I was just ready for it to end by the time the third round came around. But
Yeah, I think this is one of the whacker fights on the card.
mm,
So, but it wasn't. I mean, you know why Chris Duncan fought like that? You could see that he had a compromised leg, so he was
yeah,
going to get the win. Omar Morales, he's been around the block, so he should be able to stop a takedown and be able to stop somebody stalling him. So
yeah,
him as well. So
yep,
then you got Jack Shore, he moving up from bantamweight to featherweight, taking on Marquand Amirkhani,
hmm
getting the submission win as well. He looked good in this fight.
yeah, yeah, definitely look good. And listen, people look at Amar Khani's record. That just happens because Amar Khani's an exciting fighter. He's game every time. And guys like that, they're never an easy fight, no matter what the record looks like. Kind of like the Bobby Greens. They just fight a lot of fights, so their record looks like that. But they're game. They're always in there, ready for a fight, ready to scrap. And for Jack Shore, I think it was a good test for him. Definitely moving up in weight class. It's a good test for him to have a fight like this. Amirkhani tested him, made him show different facets of his game, and Jack Shore rose to the occasion. Man, he looks really good. I think he's definitely a terrific prospect of featherweight. And featherweight's a weight class also wide open right now with the whole situation with the belt. So I mean, yeah, that's a great fight for him. Great win. I was shocked to see this on the prelims, though. I'm not gonna lie, but I mean, it happens. Yeah, Jack Shortman, 28 years old, looks very good right now. Sky's the limit for him at featherweight. To be honest.
Yeah. And then moving up to the main card, we got another fight that I think should have went the other way in decision route. We had Marvin Vettori getting out the unanimous decision over Roman Dolce. To me, I had Dolce winning every round
Drug test the judges. Drug test the judges, bro.
because
Drug test the judges. Like,
he was showing more aggression. He landed the more powerful shots. Vettori was the fact that Vettori fought a point fight and he won is kind of surprising to me. But hey, this is
bro,
what.
Marvin Vittori. fights like he has dinosaur arms. Like all he throws is that stupid little like overhand right and left, hoping it lands, but then he gets cracked on the way out, and they still score. Meanwhile, Roman Dolidze is landing 4-punch combinations on him without eating a single shot because Marvin Vettori doesn't know how to move his head. I don't understand how you score this from Marvin Vettori. The only thing he had advantage of on the strikes, he had what
He had
eight more
more
head.
leg kicks. He had more
Yeah,
leg kicks.
like it was leg kicks, leg kicks. Literally, it was leg kicks. So like, what am I missing here? Like, because it wasn't like they were like hard leg kicks. They were little check ones. That's all
Yeah,
it
they're
was.
point fighting leg kicks.
Yeah, and that's the problem. That's my. I said this in the breakdown. It's my issue with Marvin Vettori. He is a good mixed martial artist. He can do whatever he wants to do. It's just he kind of plays it safe. He point fights. He doesn't excite you, and that's the problem I have with him. Where yes, this guy got a title shot before, but there's a reason he didn't win, and there's a reason, in my opinion, he will never be UFC champion, or in my opinion, will never get a UFC title shot again. If you're out here point fighting, man, against guys like this, like Roman Dolidze had a good case to win that fight, right? Robert Whitaker beat him convincingly. Adesanya beat him convincingly. If Paulo Costa doesn't miss weight by like 15 pounds, Paulo Costa probably beats him too. What resume does Marvin Vettori really have to show you, hey, I need to be a contender at this weight class?
That's
You
why I
know,
think you got to give him that Jared Cannonier fight to make him
got
prove
to,
himself.
got to do it, got to do it,
That's the only
got to.
fight that makes sense.
Or Sean Strickland. Let Sean Strickland knock this guy into the shadow realm,
Or
please.
Chimaev, give him the Chimaev fight.
Oh, see that I would love that because you got a guy that point fights versus a guy that just wants to go in and kill somebody.
Yeah,
You know, and there's levels to it. This guy went to Extreme Couture supposedly to get better, supposedly to fight with better middleweights, and he looked the same. He looked the same as he's looked his whole UFC run.
for this camp, he was at the PI.
Yeah, yeah. But he's out here like posting videos of Sean Strickland and like we're gonna be the bad guys of middleweight. Bro, Sean Strickland actually goes in there and fights anybody it actually fights. You just sit there and leg kick and just throw overhands and stay a distance because you don't want to get knocked out and you don't want to get like
Yeah, I
whatever.
think Chris Curtis would beat Vittori.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And for the judges, okay, the judge that gave a 30-27 to Marvin Vittori, bro,
Faded.
what kind of meth do they have in England? I need to know. Like horrible, horrible
Yeah,
judging, man.
make the shirts, man. Test USADA, the judges, bro. We got to make that shirt, bro. I swear to God, we're gonna make that.
It's horrible, man. This fight was one of the worst scored fights I've seen in a very long time. But I think Roman Dolidze's stock does go up because he did look good. Everybody knows that he won that fight. You move on. It's sad, but you move on.
Yep. And then you got Jennifer Meyer versus Casey O'Neill. Casey O'Neill spamming the 1-2 combo or 2-1 combo the whole fight. Like literally, that's the reason she lost. She literally was just spamming her straight 1-2 or
Hmm.
throwing the two first and then following with the one. That's literally all she did the whole fight.
Yeah,
She had a lot more
She looked like Nate
grappling.
Diaz. She looked like
Yeah.
Nate Diaz out here.
Jennifer Maya actually showing some really good boxing. She was throwing, when she was in, she was throwing combos, and then she was getting out. She was managing the distance better. It was a good fight. I mean, they were scrapping, but Casey O'Neill just getting outclassed, showing that she probably still needs some more fine tuning before she fights these like top 10 girls in flyweight.
Yep, and she also accused Casey O'Neill of greasing after the fight. Said that it didn't feel like sweat. Like she felt like Casey O'Neill had maybe put Vaseline on or whatever, so it's difficult to grab her. My opinion didn't really affect the fight, to be honest. I think Maya convincingly won that fight. Not in a dominating way, just convincingly. She did what she did what she had to do. I think it was scored right. I think for Casey O'Neill, it kind of shows like the talent's there, but she needs to diversify her moves a bit more. She needs to diversify herself because the talent's there. She's a terrific mixed martial
Very
artist.
good chin.
Yeah, it's just it's like you said, the 1-2 or two then one. Like you got to add more. You got to add more. The only person that can get away with that is Nate Diaz, just living off the jab straight. Um, I think for her, like I think Jennifer Maya, she's just a dog. She's in your face. She knows how to mix her moves up, man. She knows how to mix up her strikes, and I think that's what won her the fight. I think in the judges' eyes, it doesn't matter how many strikes you land if they're not doing damage and if they're not coming from different angles and different, timing and stuff. They're not going to score for you at the end of the day. So,
I mean, anybody who would score that to Casey O'Neill would have been, they would have the attested for sure. Then performance tonight going to Gunnar Nelson versus Brian Barberena. Getting that armbar. You know, he got mount and then was throwing some elbows, and then the guy gave up his arm and he jumped on the armbar and he finished it fast. So showing that his grappling is still top tier in welterweight.
100%. I think Gunnar Nelson, like I got to listen, he's a solid veteran. Gunnar Nelson doesn't really have any holes in his game, man. Former training partner of Conor McGregor at SBG. Um, Also doesn't fight with tape in his hands. He fights with no tape in his hands. He said it helps him not break his hands when he fights. Interesting guy. Uh, Great sub. And listen, like I said, Byron Barberena is a good brawler, but it's areas like this when you get to the grappling and stuff where there's levels to it in the fight game. And Gunnar Nelson, a BJJ black belt, I mean, it showed. He just
Yeah.
dominated him on the ground.
That's why we got these big strikers, these good strikers or brawlers at welterweight, but then they run into somebody like Gunnar Nelson or somebody like RDA who can also throw in a little grappling and tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justin Gaethje in his next fight, I think Justin Gaethje versus Fiziev, I think Justin Gaethje fought a perfect fight. Perfect amount of danger, perfect amount of damage. Distance was good. And he knew that Fiziev, after he was missing all them wild kicks and stuff after the first 2 rounds, the third round he'd be a little slower and a little tired. So he ended up cutting him up, and it looked like Fiziev got his ass beat. Justin looked clean after the fight, so I think that's one of his better performances. I think you put that up right next to Tony Ferguson, honestly, in terms of not getting
Yeah.
much damage.
It took 12 UFC fights, and Justin Gaethje finally hit a takedown. Finally hit a takedown. I think. Listen, first off, Rafael Fiziev, his stock definitely goes up after this fight for sure. Because this is the best competition he's fought, and he was game as well. It was a very good fight of the night for sure. Those guys, man, they put on a show for the fans. Justin Gaethje, those leg kicks should be illegal. How hard he throws them, man. Like
Yeah,
Rafael Fiziev's legs. I don't know how he's walking today, man. Like and that's the thing. Gaethje didn't even throw a ton. It's just he times him where it disrupts your rhythm. It makes you feel like pain, bro. And then the striking was terrific. Both these guys put on a show. Um, Gaethje definitely looked clean after the fight. I agree with you, man. And I think for Fiziev, like, there's nothing really more Fiziev could do. Fiziev threw everything he had at Justin Gaethje. It's just Justin Gaethje's a dog. He's only fought top 10 guys in his 12 UFC fights. The man has 11 UFC bonuses. Like his resume is unmatched. He fights the best of the best. He goes out there and just war. And so I think for Justin Gaethje, great win. Makes it very interesting at lightweight. I think he definitely shows that he has room for another title run at this point. And for Fiziev, man, his stock doesn't go down. I think he gets another top 5 guy at some point because he didn't look bad either. It's just you're fighting Justin Gaethje, man. It is what it
yeah.
is.
Just in case he's just more like he said, he was going to bring him to the deep waters. He was going to drown him. So and he did that. It shows that Fiziev probably needs a little bit more work. I mean, he's fought a 5 round fight before, but against these top 5 guys, he might need a little bit more cardio. He might need a little bit more patience and not throwing is so heavy. He might have to just, slow down a little bit in the beginning of the rounds because he just goes.
Definitely needs discipline. Definitely needs more discipline in the sense of like Fiziev can knock out anybody, if we're being honest. He has great technique. He has all this. But you have to pick your moments. When you're at this level, when you're fighting a guy like Justin Gaethje who's fought for a title, who was interim champ, you have to pick your moments. And I think for Gaethje, like Gaethje knows how to, like you said, the correct amount of danger. Because when absorbing danger is when Gaethje's most dangerous because he just throws back at you with everything. And I think for Fiziev, he was kind of getting a little desperate when Gaethje was connecting. He was kind of getting a little overwhelmed. And listen, first off, the scoring in this fight, uh, to the person that made it a 28-28, yeah, stop. Stop.
I mean, I agree. I can see what they thought because the first round I thought was like very even.
Yeah, I guess, but Gaethje clearly won the fight. Gaethje clearly had a 2-1 in my opinion.
Well, they might have scored him winning every round besides the first round. They just thought it was a tie, which I thought the first round was pretty close too.
Right, right.
I didn't get the tie, but I thought it was pretty close. I thought actually Fiziev might have won the first round, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, that's the thing with
But
Fiziev. Fiziev comes out aggressive to start, and Gaethje takes his time, but in a good way. Like when he does, he lets you tire yourself out, and then he just goes, man. Yeah, good fight. Definitely a good co-main event. It's a shame this had to be before the main event though, because it kind of set my expectations a little too high for the next fight. So
yeah, we got for the rematch for Usman Edwards 3, we got Leon Edwards pulling it out in a decision win. After after losing a point as well, he still seems to get 3 rounds on the judges' cards. What do you think about this fight? You thought he won the fight? Who'd you have?
Leon definitely won the fight. But if you hear the tone I'm saying that with, I'm not impressed in the sense of like I think this is more of Kamaru Usman made zero adjustments from the first fight, and that's what killed him. Because
Yeah,
yes, he dominated the first fight, but like I said, Leon was going to come out more confident, which he did. Kamaru was going to have the psychological factor of this guy knocked him out before, which you saw with how many times he shot for takedowns from 15 feet away. Um, it just I think this is more of Kamaru Usman losing this fight than Leon Edwards winning this fight.
yeah. I think Leon just stayed on his game plan. His game plan seemed to be, make him work to my legs. Make him kick his legs, hurt his knees, kick his body, and hurt him while he's trying to get me against the cage. But
Mm-hmm.
try not to go up the cage, and it was a good plan. He managed the distance well. I don't think he was in danger at any point in the fight. Besides an elbow, I think Usman landed that was pretty clean.
Mm-hmm.
But Usman, still ducking his head after for on defense. He's still ducking his head in dangerous spots. So the whole fight, I'm sitting there waiting for Leon to catch him because Usman still has like a little bit of bad striking habits. But
Yeah, and his jab wasn't as effective this fight either, because
yeah,
Leon kept switching stances and not getting up against the cage as much as the last fight.
and when Kamara would get him against the cage, he would just single. He would just do 2-on-1. Like he would, fight one
Yep.
hand with both his other hands, so he couldn't get any hands locked. And Usman doesn't throw anything scary in the clinch. He doesn't do any clinch work at all. He just tries to lay on you. If he brings in a little bit more of John Jones mentality, throw some elbows in the clinch and do some damage when you have him against the fence, then you can't really do that because you got a whole open arm. But Edwards is doing good. He had a good game plan, stayed on it, and I think he won. But I don't think he won. I don't think it should have been. It should have been. I don't know. I think he won by like 1 round. If you do the
I had him winning. I had him winning 4 rounds. I had Leon winning 4 rounds. But it wasn't like super convincing. It was just because this fight, there wasn't anything that was like, okay, these guys are trying to knock the other guy out, it was point fighting. It was honestly point fighting, and I think championship fights that are point fights kind of reminds me of Adesanya, in some ways, and like that's not a good thing because at the end of the day, Kamaru Usman, his era is over. He's not going to be welterweight champion anymore. He had a great reign, definitely top 5 welterweight of all time. Had 5 title defenses. But I think it shows that to be the champ, you really do have to beat the champ. Like you have to make it convincing. And like, yes, and some people would score this for Kamaru in some areas, but like not in a title fight. Not when you're trying to win the belt back. But now Dana announced after the fight that Colby's getting the next title shot. Leon says after the fight, I've been active. I won the belt. I should choose who I fight next because he wants to fight Masvidal. What that tells me is he knows after last night that if Colby Covington gets his hands on him, that belt's not going to stay on him much longer, especially if he fights like he did against Usman.
Yeah, you're just a Kobe fan, bro.
No,
I think I think it'll be a good fight, but I don't think he's scared of Kobe. Here's the thing: Leon wants to fight Masvidal, but Masvidal's going to lose to Gilbert Burns, so there's going to be no reason to do that fight. Gilbert Burns is probably going to go and fight Usman again.
Yeah,
For sure.
but also let's be honest. If it wasn't for Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington would probably be welterweight champion right now. Like Colby Covington, outside of Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington is the best welterweight in the last 3-4 years. Like,
Yeah,
and so for me, like, I'm not necessarily saying Leon's scared of Colby. It's just Leon wants the easier fight in Masvidal.
he wants
Because
that money. He wants that quick money fight, and you also got to think about the Chandler versus McGregor fight
yep,
as well.
yep. And so at the end of the day, whether Colby deserves it or not, is definitely up for discussion. But Dana made the call. I don't think it's a bad decision. I'd rather see that than a Bilal Muhammad fight, to be honest. But I do think Colby. I think if Leon fights the way he did last night, Colby wins. It's just Colby's cardio, Colby's output.
And he's actually going to be shooting that single leg a lot better.
Yeah, and I think the difference is Kamaru was was grappling, but he
His knees
wasn't.
are done. Let's just be honest. His knees are done. You
His
can
knees are
just tell
done. It
his knees
wasn't
are done.
offensive. Like you could, bro. When he was shooting on takedowns, he wasn't bending his knees. He was bending his back. That is
Yeah.
a sign of a guy that has no knees anymore. You know. And so for me, like this fight, I think it shows for Usman, like like I said, his reign is done. He's never getting another title shot, in my opinion. But now, what do you do with him at welterweight? Who do you have him fight? Where do you put him at? You know?
We have to fight Gilbert Burns, but I think Gilbert Burns might actually win this time.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And also, Kamaru's 35, man. How much more does he have left in the tank with his knees looking like that? You know? Because the fact that his striking, that's another thing. When he was throwing his shots, he couldn't extend with his legs to close the distance as much because he just I don't know. He looked like a shell of himself. And Leon didn't look bad, but he didn't look great. I'll put it that way.
He didn't look bad, but he didn't look dominant. He didn't look like he was way better.
Hmm. I agree.
But I mean, he did enough to get it done. Same thing with Usman versus Covington the second time. He didn't look way better, but he did enough to get it done. So we'll see. I think this actually makes welterweight more exciting anyway. So
Yeah,
uh,
I agree. And like we already talked about the fights we would make for both these guys. Obviously Colby and Leon will fight. I can't wait for that. But like let's look at the
the fight,
Coleman.
the matchup I want it to end up being like I want Kobe to beat Leon, I want Connor to beat Chandler, and then I want that Connor versus Kobe. That would be crazy.
Yo, the build up to that fight, we definitely would have to get press credentials and go to the press conference. I
It
have
would
to
have
be
to. It
there.
would have to be a tough, bro.
I,
It would
I
have to be
I have to
tough.
be there. I think the in terms of events in history, you got John F. Kennedy's assassination, the moon landing, and then a Conor McGregor Colby Covington press conference. I have to be there for that.
Yeah,
That'd be better than Nate Diaz press conferences, man. Like I would love to see that. And
right
listen,
next to it.
we might get it. We might get it, man. You never know with Dana. Dana's talking about Conor might get a title shot. Then he's talking about he's not getting involved with Conor and USADA. You never know, man. We love the fight game for a reason. Looking at the co-main event though, Justin Gaethje, Rafael Fiziev. Who do you book these guys with next at lightweight?
Well, I think you do that. I think it's a no-brainer for Justin. You do that Poirier rematch, and then I think you give Fiziev the loser of Beneil versus Charles.
Yeah,
That's what I would want to see. Or you give Justin the loser of Beneil versus Charles. But I would prefer. I think that Dustin and Justin is perfect time. They're right next to each other in the rankings.
yeah.
They're both trying to do the same thing, go for one more title run. So this is a big fight for both their careers. There'd be so much on the line, and I think it'll really show who's the baddest lightweight.
I think over the summer with the amount of champs that probably won't be able to fight for one reason or another, you could definitely have Gaethje and Poirier headline a pay per view, make it a 5 round fight. Do
Oh
it in
yeah,
Vegas.
definitely headline. It
Yeah,
would definitely headline for sure.
yeah, man.
I mean, you had Chandler Gaethje headline, right? Or no?
No, no, they didn't.
Poirier Chandler did that headline?
No, no, the one that headline. But listen, if Nate Diaz and Shemaev could headline a pay per view and sell it, Gaethje and Poirier can definitely sell out T-Mobile Arena in Vegas.
Ended up being Nate Diaz versus Ferguson.
And it's still sold. It's still sold. The pay per view vibes were good on that, and so I think you could definitely do that. I think for Fiziev, I think it's definitely Mateusz Gamrot or
Oh
the.
yeah, give him right, yeah.
I think Mateusz Gamrot is probably the him or Armin Sakarian.
Armand's fighting Fight Night versus Mokiano, so he's already booked.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, like in terms of like the guys you look at, I think Fiziev is probably gonna end up fighting down in the rankings than up in the rankings for now, just because everybody's booked right now above him.
Yeah, a little down. I don't think he goes past Dos Anjos because he already beat Dos Anjos. So.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Either way,
And then
man.
Justin, yeah, Justin giving Poirier
Yeah,
for sure.
100%. I think for Poirier, to get him out of his hibernation, this is definitely the money fight for him. 100%. I think it sells. I'm not even gonna talk about Marvin Vettori in his next fight. We already said Cannoneer. It is what it is. Bro needs to get knocked out. He just does, man. I'm sick of Marvin Vettori. And for Roman Dolidze, man, it's tough. I say give him Sean Strickland. I want to see that or Driscus. Give him Driscus.
Yeah, I'd say a Driscus fight would be a good fight. Maybe give him Paulo Costa or something like that once he
Ooh,
gets or
Brendan Allen.
Brendan Allen. It would be a good fight, but I think he destroys Brendan Allen. I don't think Brendan Allen is ready for that yet. You know, Delite. I think Delite really is a top five guy, like a top five, top seven guy. So
Yeah,
I think anybody lower than top 10, I think he smashes. So
yeah.
besides, I mean, Chris Curtis would be a good fight, but they train together. So,
Hmm.
but that didn't stop him from fighting Vittori. So,
Yeah.
I'm just a Chris Curtis fan though. I'll just be dick riding Chris Curtis.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for UFC 286. Before we go to Vera Sandhagen this weekend, some UFC news to go over. Aljo Cejudo finally signed off on the fight. I think it's May 6th or whatever.
Yeah,
Gonna be in Newark. Good fight. Can't wait to see that. Dana announced that Hamzat's going up to middleweight and will fight a top three guy at middleweight.
Robert Whitaker.
It's gotta be Whitaker, and I think that's gonna be a great fight to make. Yeah. Other than that, Power Slap. Power Slap's not gonna be on TBS anymore. They got their contract with TBS canceled, but they're still gonna be making slap fights. So they're
I
gonna.
mean, TV network is not where it's at anymore anyway. Like
Yeah.
that Rumble deal is probably where it's at, probably honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And so other than that, not too much news this week. A couple fight announcements here and there. Colby and Leon got announced right after the fight by Dana. I
Jeff Molina.
huh?
Jeff Molina. UFC fighter Jeff Molina got caught sucking that cock. He, I
The internet is a ruthless place, but MMA Twitter's got to be. MMA Twitter is the dark web of Twitter.
yeah,
Like,
for real. I mean, respect to him for for what he's got to put up with. I seen Jordan Levitt was giving him a shout out, so salute to those guys for being able to put up with the bullshit and still fight. But,
well, the thing is, with Jeff Molina, he's already got enough going on where he can't fight in the UFC anymore. Because
yeah, it's kind of a people were trying to say that it was like a distraction, like from the James Krause stuff, which I doubt. But
well,
either way,
the thing with Molina is one of the fighters that they said was in it with James Krause, like was actually making money off it, and so he's already got enough stuff going on, man.
he might have been in it. In it.
Yeah, yeah, and listen, guys. This is just a life advice. Be careful what you got. Screenshot or record about you, what you said, what you done. The internet's a ruthless place, man.
Yeah.
Bro is a professional athlete, having to have his personal life exposed like that. Regardless of where you stand and what you believe in, it's his life, man, and like it's I hate it when stuff like this happens because at the end of the day, like, hey, he's trying to make money to provide for his family at the end of the day. So it's like stuff like this. It's like when you look at athletes and like John Jones and his drug test or John Jones outside of the octagon. John Jones is a great fighter. What he does outside the octagon, you can have your beliefs on, but it shouldn't change how you view him in the octagon. Because at the end of the day, his personal life is personal life. So yeah, it's unfortunate, man. But like I said, MMA Twitter is a ruthless place. The memes were The memes are y'all are wild, man.
Yeah, y'all need to chill, bro. Like I know, I I definitely know that Jeff Molina is not top five in head movement in UFC, bro. Come on, none of y'all lists had Adesanya on there. But anyways, we got the UFC fight night. We got big bantamweight implications here in this
Yep.
fight. This might decide what happens in bantamweight the next couple of years. We
Hmm.
got Corey Sandhagen versus Cheeto Vera. Cheeto Vera coming off that head kick knockout of Dominic Cruz. Corey Sandhagen. What was his last fight? His last fight was the win over Sonya Dong. So
Yeah.
Marlon Vera taking out a old former champion and a legend of the sport, and Corey Sandhagen going down and fighting a young gun. So these guys both proven themselves to come into this fight. So
Yeah.
both these guys showing they're earning their way to the bantamweight title. So
And
I fuck with
one
both
thing
these
for
guys.
both these guys that I love is they're willing to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere. Sandhagen fought Aljamain Sterling, T.J. Dillashaw in a fight I thought he won, the T.J. Dillashaw fight. Uh,
Same, I thought you.
he fought Piotr Jan for an interim title. He fought Song Yadong. Like he's stayed active, and same thing with Cheeto. Cheeto fought Sean O'Malley, um, Dominic Cruz. Just like these guys,
Frankie Edgar.
Frankie Edgar, like both these guys, it's insane their level of activity and like how good they've looked as well while doing it. I love this fight. I think for Cheeto Vera, if he wins this fight, man, he's coming in as an underdog. If he wins this fight, he has an argument for being number one contender, especially if you hadn't seen that he has that win over Sean O'Malley on his record. You might be angling for a Sean O'Malley rematch after this fight.
I mean, I don't count it as a win because if you watch the fight, Sean O'Malley was beating his ass before he hurt his leg. Like Sean O'Malley
Yeah,
was,
yeah, yeah.
he was destroying him on the feet before he hurt his leg. And then after that, it counts as a finish, but we all know what was happening in the real fight. Corey Sandhagen, I don't know who I got in this fight. This fight to me is, I'm leaning more Cheeto, I think.
Yeah.
It's a 5 round fight. You give this guy this dangerous 5 rounds to find your chin. He usually does it. So,
And the thing with Cheeto is he starts slow, um, in a good way. Where like, yeah, he takes some hits. Yeah, he lets like the Dominic Cruz fight. He let Dominic Cruz kind of expend more energy to start the fight. But he got such a good read on Dominic Cruz that as soon as Cruz dropped his hands on the and moved his head, Cheeto caught him with that kick. And that wasn't luck. That's just you spend the fight reading your opponent, setting them up for it. I think for Sandhagen, Sandhagen's solid. He's very consistent, but there are moments where he could get caught in this fight by Cheeto because Sandhagen definitely is the more aggressive fighter. I think Cheeto is the more calculated fighter. And in terms of like, if Cheeto throws something, it's landing. Cheeto does not throw missed punches and missed kicks that often. You know, whereas like Sandhagen is more wild in the way he fights. I think it's a great matchup. I'm still shocked how Sandhagen makes 135. To be honest with you, he's so big for the weight class. Great fight though. I think both these guys have a have an argument to fight Sean O'Malley after this fight, regardless of who wins.
yeah.
Especially with the mess that is bantamweight and who's fight for the title and who's not after Cejudo and Aljo. So yeah, great fight, man. I can't wait.
And then in the co-main, you got Holly Holm and Yana Kanitska, now known as Yana Santos,
Yeah,
because she got married to Tiago Santos. I'm tired. I'm gonna be honest, bro. I might be the only one to say this, but I'm tired of watching Holly Holmes fight. Like her last fight was terrible. Last couple fights are just terrible. Like I don't like watching her fight no more. She's old.
I agree. She's getting old. I think it's I love listen. I loved Holly Holm in her prime. I just I think the Jermaine Durandamy fight and her getting choked out by Misha Tate were two things she never covered well. And I think I think she beats Yana Santos. I don't think Yana Santos is impressive in her own right either. But I think it's about time Holly starts hanging it up because what happens is she'll lose a title shot, win one fight, get another title shot, lose that fight, win again, and it becomes a cycle of just lose win, lose win, lose win. And she loses in horrifying fashion, and then she wins very non-convincingly every time. So it's like, all right, if you're not gonna give us something, bring in some new blood at bantamweight.
Definitely shouldn't be a freaking co-main. Same as Derek Lewis.
No, I agree.
You got Alex Caceres here, you know, like Alex Caceres could easily be a better co-main. I'd rather watch Andrea Lee versus Macy Barber than that fight,
Dude, you got
honestly.
Alex Perez and Manel Cop on main card too.
Or
Like,
the prelims.
yeah, like what's the other the fight right below is Austin Lingo and Nate Landwehr, man. You remember the last Nate Landwehr fight when he fought the African guy, and like he they both just kept like knocking each other down. The other guy was gas. He's like all in his face and like
Isn't like Nate where this like Nate the guy that said that crazy shit?
yeah, and he trains with Colby, and he was talking about the as some of the train from Alabama or something like that. Like, bro, he that fight was nuts. So this last fight, I loved it. His opponent was literally just so gassed, and he's gassed too, but he's just throwing and talking, and I'm like, that's the kind of fighter I want to see. Coming in as a favorite against Austin Lingo. This is gonna be fight of the night. I'm calling it right now. This is gonna be fight of the night. It's yeah, but I mean this card though, you look at it up and down, it's not overly impressive. I'm gonna be honest with you.
No, this is not one of those fights where I'm interested in the Alex Perez fight,
Yeah,
the Anita fight, Alex Caceres fight, and the main event. Trying to think.
that Derive and Jucani fight looks kind of interesting too.
Okay, yeah, that one too.
Yeah,
But besides that, like all these other fights are just none of these guys are really in contention for anything.
yeah. I think Perez and Cobb definitely at flyweights gonna be an interesting fight for.
Yeah, you got to keep your eye on flyweight right now because flyweight's open right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, right now bantamweight's kind of shining, man, but flyweight there by the end of the year that it's gonna be a mess. Fly.
I mean, if they stop doing rematches, like flyweight would get going. Like I feel like these rematches hold up the divisions like so much, like and it throws off people's careers, like quite literally, bro.
Yeah,
Like Moreno and Figueredo fought how many times in like four times,
four times.
and you fit Car France fight in there, so
Yeah,
that's fight two different opponents 5 times. Like what?
yeah, no, 100%, man. And I think flyweight's a division with so much talent, whether it's Pantoja, Perez, Cobb, Kaikar France, Moreno, Royval. Um, like there's a lot of guys. Even yesterday, there's some flyweights in there too, man. Like Makayev.
Makayev.
Like flyweight's a very interesting division right now. And Manel Kopp, the hype is still there on him because he's a former glory champ, and all that. It, the hope that the UFC's always had is let him get a 2-3 fight win streak so they can give him a title shot. That's the hope of Manel Kopp always. He just hasn't looked as impressive. I think for Alex Perez, if he wins this fight, it's a statement. Like putting him back kind of. And Alex Perez is coming off that loss to Pantoja, which, you know, the way he got choked out, it is what it is. You can't really do nothing about that. But Perez is a good fighter, man. Perez has looked very good in his fights. That top six in flyweight is some of the best mixed martial arts in the world, man. Those guys are nasty.
And you got to add Makayev and Bruno Silva to that, though.
Yes, Bruno Silva's the other one. Yep, Bruno Silva, 100%, man. Yeah, no, I mean, flyweight, it's definitely gonna be seeing most of these guys, headlining fight nights too and all that. But yeah, this card, man, Cheeto Vera, Sandhagen, definitely the perfect main event to make. And it's gonna be in San Antonio. It's not gonna be at the Apex. So,
Who you
def-
leaning for?
who what?
Who you leaning towards?
It's got to be
It not
Cheeto.
being in the Apex helps Corey though. I'm not gonna lie, a
I
lot.
think it helps. I think it helps Cheeto.
I think it helps Cheeto.
I
I
think
think
the
more
amount.
space helps Corey.
I think the Ecuadorians they're gonna show up to San Antonio just like they did to Cali when Cheeto fought.
I'm thinking the size of the octagon, like the
Oh
Apex
yeah.
octagon is so much smaller, so there's closer range. So Cheeto has more
I
shots to
I,
take.
I don't know. I don't know because I think Cheeto the way he moves, man. Because you saw in the Dominic Cruz fight where he moves a lot side to side, and I think having a big octagon is gonna help him cut off Corey a little bit. Um, because even if Corey moves forward, I think for Cheeto it's going to be easier for him to kind of escape out the side every time with the way he moves his feet, and so I think Cheeto's definitely going to attack that lead leg of Sandhagen. I think that's going to be a big thing for him this fight. It's going to be a great fight, man. In front of a live crowd. I wish they had a better card to give this crowd, to be honest. But hey,
I mean, the main
is what it
event is
is.
a banger, but they need a better co-main.
No,
You gotta at
I
least have
agree.
a co-main and a main be a banger. Like you gotta have two fights that you know are just super super good fights. See, they be trying to throw like a super one really good fight and then throw some trash fights underneath. Like nah, bro.
hmm I agree. Other UFC news, I forgot. Anderson Silva is getting finally inducted to the Hall of Fame. No brainer. This deserved. Man is one of the greatest of all time.
No, Mount Rushmore.
100%. I think him, GSP, and John Jones are, and Demetrius Johnson are four guys that you could say, for their era, for their time, are the greatest of all time in the UFC.
And I don't want to hear nothing from the Khabib fans. Khabib didn't defend his title that many times. Khabib
Nope,
didn't really fight that many scary guys. You know, like
nope, no. I agree, and I think with Habib as well, man. Like when he didn't fight the best of the best in his division, uh, when they did come in terms of like he never fought Oliveira,
he never fought Tony Ferg.
never fought Tony Ferguson. It just Habib's a great fighter, but Anderson Silva put the fear of God in people when he fought. Like I remember watching Anderson Silva in his prime growing up as a kid, man, and you go in there like there were some fights that were snooze fest, right? That pissed Dana off, which is why they scheduled the Chael Sonnen fight. But those snooze fests were because Anderson Silva was just so dominant, he didn't have to try. Like he knew how to beat guys. Like he looked at you with his hands down, and you still couldn't touch him. You know, Chael Sonnen goes in. Chael Sonnen beat him for 4.5 rounds, and he still choked Chael Sonnen. You know, like Anderson Silva was unreal, out of this world in the way he fought. Whether it was the showmanship, the flashiness, how long he was, his kicks. Anderson Silva is probably has the best kicks in UFC history, man. Like this guy was, he was insane. He was different. He had
He
no
got the
holes in his
longest
game.
UFC winning rate. You know, he's won 16 straight fights, which Usman
Yeah,
was on track to beat, but Edwards stopped that. So
yeah, his clinch game was like Anderson Silva. He wasn't even a talker either. Like he never really talked at press conferences and stuff, and he still sold fights. The Vitor Belfort fight when you came up with the mask at the weigh-in, and then kicked his head into the shadow realm. Like Anderson Silva, one of those guys where when he first showed up to the UFC, his first fight was against Chris Lieben, who was a fan favorite of everybody, and he murdered Chris Lieben in a minute with those knees in the clinch, man. And everybody, Anderson Silva didn't have an easy career. He started off in Pride. He lost a couple fights there. Nobody really saw this coming, and then Anderson Silva just ran. He cleaned out the division twice at middleweight. Like he was different, man. I think him, GSP, and John Jones are three pillars that you look at that help make the UFC in the 2020s what it is because of what they did in the 2010s, man. Those guys ran the sport. Like I remember they were angling for a GSP and Anderson Silva fight for the longest. Uh it was magic when those guys fought, and I'm very happy Anderson Silva's making it to the Hall of Fame. I teared up watching the announcement video, man. I think anybody that grew up watching Anderson Silva, like this guy was the Michael Jordan for us, in many ways. So yeah, congrats to him, man. I'm happy they're finally doing this.
yep. Shouts out to Anderson Silva. And I think that's gonna do it for episode 7 of Glove Talk. I think we covered everything. So we'll see you guys next Sunday after the Cheeto
Oh,
Clay.
what one more thing. One more thing. Big
Oh,
piece of news. Big piece of
everything.
news we forgot. Conor McGregor's not in the USADA testing pool.
Bro, we've been talking about this, bro.
No, 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 no. I need to digress what Connor was saying on the Ariel Helwani show, man.
Touch
And
the
how
bro.
Connor's singing songs to USADA on his Twitter, and all this, right? Are we even gonna get this fight?
No, we're gonna get the fight, bro. You know how much money that fight's gonna be? 30
So
mil for King
Dana comes out and says that he won't do an exemption for Conor McGregor for this
All
fight.
right, then he's gonna join the pool then.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Well, cool. But that's gonna do it for episode 7,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Appreciate you guys. You guys like the video, subscribe. Go peep the Instagram, the Glove Talk Podcast on IG. And we got some fight breakdowns coming out. When are you gonna record those?
I'm gonna be recording those tomorrow. For this fight night card. Yeah, definitely. That main event's gonna be great to break down. I'm also gonna break down what kind of metabolites of drugs are in the judges' systems in the UFC. Different strands, everything, because it's getting ridiculous. We need to drug test these guys, man.
All right, yep. Drug test the red. You saw to the judges. And that's
Yeah, you saw the Herb Dean.